I can't. Oh.
Are we live? Tell me we're live.
Perfect timing.
That would be a good like TikTok, like clip it or whatever they say. Like,
You see, that's karma saying that you should have just left the angle the way it was.
I definitely should have just fucking left it alone.
I like to keep things cringy, man. All right. First F-bomb of the podcast. There it was. And this is the letting everybody know that we're just having a conversation today. This isn't like anything formal at all, and it's unedited, uncut, and you have officially 3 dirty old fishermen sitting here just talking like we always do. And I mean, keeping Brian in lines like herding cats. So I'm not even going to try. But hell, that's why we're on here, bud.
That's right.
And made you the big show.
Right.
And we got Ryan, the flathead assassin, back. Hopefully this is the beginning of like many times.
Yes, I plan, especially now that everything's kind of slowing down a little bit. I should have some Wednesdays open to have a couple beers and shoot the shit.
That's why I wanted to do this to begin with. Like, guiding's been a little bit slower for me this year than it ever has, and
must be nice.
Well, and we're going to talk about that. Well, let's just go into it. I mean, that's the reason I started the podcast. But do you know anybody who runs more guide trips than you do a year? Because I don't.
Me?
Yeah.
I haven't really paid that much attention, honestly, or like even, I don't know. Cause you figure the guys up north do open water and ice fishing. So, I mean, like people on Green Bay, like during the ice season, they do like whitefish trips. And those are like, it's kind of like Texoma striper trips. You know what I mean? Where it's just like in and out. Like
get your limit, head back to the dock.
Yep. Next group in. So I don't know, maybe in the Mid-South.
Well, I'm just talking about days. Like whether it's numbers, I'm not talking numbers of trips per se, because of what you're talking about, you can rotate in, run doubles, triples for a lot of different things, but you're running what, 250, 300 days on the water a year?
Yeah, I'd say this year is probably going to be like close to 270 or something. I haven't like run the numbers, but it's like,
I mean, there's so many people who dream of being like having the clientele base to even pull that off. Like I was thinking about that. Yeah. I think about it off and on. Like I'm pretty fortunate that I have a fairly substantial social media following, and it doesn't matter. I couldn't fill as many dates as you do. I think that's freaking awesome.
I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years. So it's like I started part-time for the first 4 when I was still working, and that like helped build up the clientele base so that when my time with Milliken ended, then I was like, I'm just going to start running trips full time. And then that led right into COVID. And 2020, I ran like 336 trips. And that was, I think that's like what boosted it.
That's awesome. What's your percentage of return trips every year?
I think it's like somewhere between 60 and 70%.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man. Like you say, well, you've been doing it for 10 years. There's guides who've been doing it for 50 years and don't book like that. Like that just, and I'm not here to just pump your brakes. I mean, I will, I will be that guy, but the real, I mean, we're talking about real numbers, real facts. And I just think that's cool, man. Like I run some guide trips. So I kind of get an idea of what goes into booking all those dates. And like, that's kind of crazy,
It is.
What you're
well, like, I don't know. Every year I'm like, well, especially this year, I was like, okay, 2025, I'm going to maybe start to wean down a little bit and just focus more on like the regulars and not take a lot of new business. And then that was like quickly out the window. And now like 50%
well, 250 days.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. It's just like, I mean, it is my job. So it's like, okay, if I'm not working as being self-employed, I'm not making money, and my YouTube channel is just for fun. And I don't, if I get like 1 or 2 videos a month, that's like a lot. So with like my schedule.
Yeah. You just got to prioritize all that. Do you think your return customers are because of your charming personality, or do you think it's because people love wipers?
I know that that's part of it. And that's just like, we all know that because we run guide trips. Like, it would just not be fun to be in the boat with a fishing guide that has the personality of a rock. So,
oh yeah.
And I've heard a lot of horror stories from clients, like, especially that go on like trips, like destination trips, like Florida or like saltwater stuff, where those guys have just been doing it for way too long and they never have repeat business. It's just like a revolving door of people who are there for vacation, to where it's like, they don't really want to be there. The guides don't really want to be there. So like the people are just there, and it's like, you could be on an 8-hour charter for like a marlin or something and never even touch a fishing rod type of thing.
Yeah. I've heard that quite a bit.
You're not in a place where you get that luxury, man. Like, people aren't just rolling through Kansas as a tourist destination. You got to pull people in. But
yeah. Well, and a lot of it too is like a me problem, to where it's like my tough days are like way different from anybody else's tough day, especially when it comes like wipers and white bass and stuff. I'm like, if we didn't have a 30 to 50 fish day in 4 or 5 hours, I would consider that to be like, oh crap.
Yeah.
But the people on the boat are like, oh my God, that was amazing. And I'm like, well, yeah, it was all right. But then
that's like when we fished, we caught a couple dozen like chunky white bass, and you were all pissed off. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was a tough day. I'm like, dude, I freaking had a blast. I will take white bass to Pound Town for hours with a smile on my face, like.
But then you got to experience the other side of it. And like when we fished with my regular Steve that day, and we had to drop him off because he wasn't cut for days like that. But then we just fucking pounded on him for.
You're on like a 500-acre lake, and he got seasick.
he has. That's never happened to him once since then. He will not bail on a unseaworthy day. But yeah, I mean, you got to see both sides of it. A day where I was like just grinding and just like, it was awful to me, but then we got to go out and just catch a fish on every single cast for as long as we literally wanted to.
Oh, absolutely.
Spencer knows that game. That's just the way fishing rolls.
Yeah,
I know, but
it's
a me problem.
we've talked. I have to do the official introductions. Just maybe I did an introduction and we just got to talk and I forgot about it. But Brian Ondraka runs Kansas Angling Experience Guide Service. You guessed it. It's in Kansas. He runs a pile of guide trips. If you want to book with him, like, get your name in the hat, because you're on a long list, and it's
like drawing a mule deer hunt somewhere.
Yeah, no shit. But dude puts people on fish, hybrids, smallmouth, crappies, and
walleyes. Let's emphasize the walleyes, because that's all they're really.
And then we got where was that one? Oh, Len Leaper's like, I didn't know Ryan still fished. He doesn't. That's why he's on a podcast.
That's right. The ice is almost here, though. I'm going to change that.
Randall, we did not fire Micah. He will be back.
He commented earlier.
Yep, regular and often. Yep, and he's here right now. He's just not running his mouth like us. Taking white bass to Pound Town is it's not a new saying for me.
It should be a t-shirt, though.
It should. I would wear that regularly, and I'd have to get Brian one. All right. Talking points. I came up with a few fun ones, and I'm just going to start it off with the heavy hitter.
We'll be the judge.
Because you were, yeah, that's fair. Especially because, Brian, you were like, walleyes. I know you freaking love walleyes. So
I do.
Here's the best would you rather question I could come up with is, would you rather hook the world record walleye and lose it right at the boat, or land the world record walleye, but it bites off both of your thumbs in the process?
I would, just like holding my fishing rod. I can do without my thumbs.
I mean, was he trying to lip it with both hands? How did this happen?
They're such ferocious fish with such terrible teeth that it bit your thumbs off as you were landing it.
Like trying to lip a northern. No, I would. I mean, well, I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask because I just love walleyes so much. So here's to the first scenario. Did I get to see it? Or did I lose it both sides and the hook
you
just popped
saw
out?
it, and
It was like a 37-inch walleye.
It was 31 pounds. It was a no doubter. It wasn't even close.
Are we sure it wasn't a flathead?
Yes, they do fight and bite the same, but
about the similar.
No, all honesty, I would rather lose it both side because I wouldn't want to land that fish anyway because I just don't deserve it, and that fish just does not even deserve to be caught because he's lived that long. And I mean, world record or not, I definitely wouldn't kill it. I'd still let it go, and it'd probably die an hour later, and I'd find it floating. But
probably
neither here nor there.
Ryan and I talked about that with the state record flathead or world record or whatever. Like, if I caught it, I mean, the boat I have now, I could keep it alive, but prior to that, I wouldn't be able to keep that fish alive. If I wanted it certified, I'd have to kill it. So I would just get some pictures and let it go. I wouldn't have to probably worry about it floating up an hour later because flatheads are actually tough fish, not sissy fish like walleyes.
True.
Yeah.
Damn true.
And what's a name on a list somewhere? Who cares?
Yeah.
No one cares. All the records anywhere from like fucking 1908, and they should just be abolished, and we should start fresh like after 1996 or something. You know what I mean?
After the prohibition.
Right. I caught it on a limb line with my cousin Jethro.
I do think the flathead record is the oldest record in Iowa.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
right.
a good one.
I think it's 1950s.
I wonder what the Kansas one is. I mean, I know that the Kansas state record flathead was caught at Elk City Reservoir, but it wasn't like
it was 1998.
I was going to say it was in the 90s.
It was the world record, or it's still the world record. It'll never get beat.
Controversy though.
I don't believe the guy's story. I don't know what the story is, but the story that he told, I don't believe.
Yeah.
It could be anything else but that.
Yeah, literally.
Like we've all heard the story, but we can't recite it, but we know it's BS.
I can recite it. The dude said he saw it swimming. He threw his crappie jig at it, hooked it on his Zebco 33 with 14-pound mono. Which how do you even cast a crappie jig?
Crappie fishing with 14-pound mono.
How do you cast a crappie jig with a Zebco 33 with 14-pound mono? Like,
when you're sight fishing, you don't have to cast far.
Apparently, he must have just dipped it down. And he said when he hooked the fish, it was lethargic, and the waves helped it get pushed to shore. I mean, I was just about said I was born at night, but not last night. But I don't think I actually was born at night.
I feel like in those scenarios, the less you say about the fish, the better, because you're just going to make yourself look more stupid.
Yeah. And I don't know.
I do that with 20-pounders. The less I say, the better.
I do that every other sentence of my life.
So moral of the story is, I don't know. I don't think that record will ever be broken. I don't even know where that fish should be. I think we had a pretty long conversation about like where the world records might be found based on species, and the flathead, it could pop up anywhere.
Yeah. The numbers are definitely in certain locations, but if you get that odd big dog, it could come out about anywhere, especially in the spring.
What's your biggest flathead, Ryan?
48.
Spencer?
55.
71, but he doesn't count it.
No, doesn't count. I was thinking, though, I just had a random thought. If somebody was fishing in Kansas and caught an 80-pound flathead, they would still be 43 pounds short of the state record.
Yeah, it's wild to think
That's
about.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Like a 43-pound fish is one hell of a fish, and you would need to add that to your 80-pounder in order to tie the world record.
Yeah.
Mike's like every diver story on the Mississippi and Illinois rivers. I've learned in my travels that if you go to a dam anywhere in the entire world, like that story transcends to South America.
It's the size of a Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah. Although the South American and like European catfish, they might actually be the size of a Volkswagen.
Yes.
Like
I was going to say, you caught some little baby 140-pounders, and they were bigger than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up with these comments. Can we type back or we just talk about it, I guess?
I think you can type back, but it's more fun to just talk about it.
Is this live on the River Certified podcast channel?
No. I've just been because like you got to qualify for lives on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So how
do you not qualify?
Like it's like you have to apply as a new channel because it's a brand new channel.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'll just do live on Facebook and then download it and put it on the YouTube channel. So that's what I've been doing.
So you do have a little back work, even though it's a live podcast.
It literally takes me 5 minutes. So it's not a big deal. The download takes 30 seconds. The upload takes 1 minute. And while I'm doing that, I type in the description and stuff and schedule it to post on its own. And then I forget about it.
Awesome.
Then I go back to thinking about world record flatheads.
Or crappie today.
Yeah,
I did. I did not catch a catfish today, but did land on the crappies for the first time down here.
That's how you know if you see pictures of crappies before January on my Facebook page. That's how you know the fishing was tough.
That's when Spencer and I go to Channel Cats.
Oof.
Yeah,
well, the Channel Cats, man, dude.
The Chan Man's there for me when nobody else is. That's what I appreciate the most about him.
That is true.
I just random thought, Brian, just because you fish like 365 days a year, I think, right? Or
369 for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. You ever get run down?
Yeah, big time. Like July and August for sure, because it's just, I mean, it's the same in Kansas as it is Iowa for the most part. It's just balls hot. I mean, it's just like when you fished the Kansas River, like that time frame, to where I'm just like scratching and clawing my way through any like white bass bite or potential wiper bite to get me through until, I mean, at this point, it's like October at best, you know, like when temps really start to cool down. This month is going to be really grindy just with the temps and stuff, but I know the potential of like when somebody sets the hook, it could be an 8 to 10 pound walleye. And I mean, the eaters are good too, but that's like, I get really hungry for a big fish, like myself personally this time of year, like clients, obviously, but if I get the extra time to fish when I know the boat traffic isn't going to be stupid, because it does get really, really stupid this time of year when the walleye bite is good. And that's mostly in part due to me and just my posting and videos and stuff. But yeah, it's just, it does get a little grindy, but summertime is like brutal. After the post-spawn walleye bite kind of dies off in June, and then the water temps get, you know, pushing 80 and bug hatch after bug hatch, and then the shad hatch and stuff. It's like, it does get kind of grindy. So I may just take them.
You just put your head down and keep pushing through it, or do something?
Well, yeah. Because it is, you know, this boat payment ain't going to make itself, and we just bought a house, and I'm going to build a shop, and I want to get another boat next year, a bigger one. And
I suppose bourbon helps too.
No, well, I'm trying to be on the weekend only bourbon program. I made an exception tonight for the podcast.
I appreciate that. I feel like I'm the only one not drinking a beer or drinking any booze. I'm enjoying.
That's the correct fact.
I'm enjoying a bubbly.
A little bubbly.
Dude, the seltzer waters are my savior during the week. But I mean, it's like anybody that knows me, when's the last time they saw me like drinking a bourbon and a bottle of water at the same time? Like my liver and kidneys just don't know what the hell to do right now. Like, oh my God, what is that? Clear, amazing substance. Oh, it's been a while.
Cole asked a question: who's the better cat fisherman? Or fisherman, me or Micah? Definitely Micah. None of that question. So you fish for a bunch of stuff, Brian, and I want to hear what you have to say too, Ryan. And that's going to rhyme for the rest of this podcast. But what's your least favorite fish to fish for? Not to catch, but to pursue.
Good crappies.
But you guide for them.
Yeah, because crappies keep me gainfully employed in January and February when I don't really have any other consistent lights out bites. When the water's 32 to 35 degrees. And the crappies are so stupid easy to catch when the water's cold. And it's a fun live scope bite for beginners, because I mean, they're stacked in the river channel or on brush piles and stuff. And it's like, oh, 2 jigs down to the brush. Oh, the crappies see it, lift it away. Oh, here they come. Boom, fish on.
How do you not freaking love that? That sounds amazing.
I don't know. I mean, the walleye bite, like, yeah, a lot of our, well, I mean, all but one walleye over 27 out of 6 that we've caught in the last 3 years have been live scope fish, like vertical, like working them up in the deep water type of thing. But the majority of our bites right now are just like setting up in the area where you know that they are. And you can see them, we set up in the deep water and then live scope up to the 15 to 22 foot flat. You can see those individual fish, but we're not casting to them. Right. And then like what I do in Green Bay, where you have to make an accurate cast and watch your bait fall and then keep it above them and then watch them come up because the water is so clear. It's more of just instinctual fishing, which there's a lot to be said for that because everyone just loves to talk shit on me because I have 2 live scopes in the boat and I have 5 graphs and a 22-inch screen. But I mean, 80%. I
love to talk shit on you just because.
I'm talking, dude.
Technology aside.
Yeah, you ditch all them graphs. I'll find something, bud. Don't you worry.
That's right. But no, I mean, there's, like I said, there's something to be said for just like that setting up on, that in reservoirs this time of year. I mean, from here all the way up to, North Dakota, Oahe and Sakakawea and all that stuff. It's all about the steep, sharp breaks and some of that stuff. Yeah, you can do vertical on live scope, but there's something to be said for just casting and the cadence of working a jig properly to get those fish to go, because they're obviously really pressured. That's just kind of the difference between, I mean, it's like I took Josh out crappie fishing well before I had live scope and we were just using traditional sonar, and you can do the same, it's kind of the same. You can watch your bait fall and get down to where you see the, lasagna or spaghetti or whatever you want to call it on traditional sonar or 2D sonar. But it just gets so repetitive. That's the only thing. It's like drop down, lift up, fish on, drop down, lift up, fish on. And 45 minutes later, you have 20 fish in the live well. And well, that was fun. Let's go clean them. and then I spend, X amount of time cleaning those crappies. So,
yeah. No, I suppose if you did it every damn day, that would get pretty repetitive and old. But as an aspiring crappie fisherman who's wasted, I don't know how many hours in the last, I've quotation marks, wasted how many hours in the last 3 months trying to figure out how to consistently catch crappies, the idea of just dropping it down and catching one sounds pretty damn cool.
That's the only reason why I guide for crappies in January and February, because that's the bite. It's not difficult. I would much rather spend my time chasing game fish like, walleyes and wipers and big white bass in peak season than like these guys that guide for crappies 12 months out of the year. Like, could you imagine trying to catch a crappie in August? Fuck that.
You might appreciate the crappies down here more because the water is really clear and it doesn't get as cold. And I've tried to catch them vertical and they see the gig is up. Like the only way I've been able to get them is to get it moving across their face, like teasing them up. They just look at it and inspect it, and then they're like, nah, and then they go back, and then I drop it back down.
Test line.
Oh yeah, that probably slows me down.
14-pound red Cajun from Walmart.
Been using it for years, boys, and it ain't letting me down.
That's right. And for the folks at home, tonight's pour, just the traditional Wellers. I left the Eagle Rare up there.
That's solid choice.
Solid choice.
Yeah, I mean, if we ever have a special occasion, then maybe it'd be worth bringing out. But
it's not even that special. The green Wellers is nothing special. Like,
I mean, I know
Josh PP would stick his nose up at this.
I know about as much about bourbon as I do women's basketball.
That's such a weird analogy.
This is the first thing that
How much do you know about women's basketball? First of all, that might be a closet hobby of yours. We don't know.
I do like Caitlin Clark, but everybody does. So,
well, 2024 is a good year for Busch Light. They had a nice pour, good aroma.
You got the camo can? We're rocking the camo can.
I do have the camo can.
I think they get better every year. Myself.
Yeah, it's like a fine wine, except yeasty.
Ryan, what do you not like to fish for?
Fucking turtles. Hate them. I absolutely hate them.
Soft shell or
soft shell?
We're talking about fishing though, not turtling.
Well,
I feel like you guys can't talk about the fishing that you do without talking about turtles, though. I've seen lots of Spencer videos with lots of turtles.
I can't remember the last turtle I caught.
When I was growing up, it was snapping turtles. And then there was a transition somewhere along the way that it's hard to find a snapping turtle. Now it's all leatherbacks. And now the leatherbacks are kind of fading and the freaking gar are picking up around here. So you just got to have a lot of bait and a lot of patience.
What would it take for you to pursue the state record long nose gar?
Me?
Like where do you think it would come from? Anyone?
Ooh, I don't even know what the state record long nose gar or long nose or short nose.
Whichever's more prevalent. I would just assume it was a short nose.
We only have short nose in central Iowa.
Okay. You're asking the wrong person.
The only time I fish for short nose is if I want something to eat. They don't fight worth a crap. Walleyes fight harder than short nose gar, pound for pound.
So, like, if you caught a gar in the Kansas River, would it be a long nose or a short nose?
There's both.
Oh, okay.
So the giant.
Does one have a long nose and one have a short nose?
Very good. Very good.
And one jumps and fights and one does not.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
The long nose, man, they actually, like, you hook them on medium spinning rods and they fight awesome.
They do like a dolphin thing, just like one of these across.
They'll tail walk pretty good at times. Yeah. And then they'll run and dive pretty good at times.
I don't want to digress. Tazler, keep talking about your least favorite fish to fish for. That's actually a fish, not a turtle.
I got the gist across. That was about it.
I mean, I'm gonna admit that I don't enjoy the act of bass fishing. If I catch one while I'm fishing for something else, it has a place on my stringer. But
I mean, it's usually when you're bait fishing is usually when I run across bass.
Right.
I'm on the farm ponds.
But just some about fishing heavy vegetation. Maybe that's it. Like,
I used to love that. I used to really like flipping and pitching and stuff, and then I got really good at smallmouth fishing, and now I just couldn't give a shit about a largemouth.
Well, and I like throwing spinner baits, but in current and creeping over brush piles and stuff. Like when we've been up in Wisconsin the last couple summers, Ryan, like throwing them spinner baits and stuff like that for them, or jigs and plastics for the walleyes and smallmouth cocktail that you get up there, man. It's freaking fun, but
yeah.
Pitching and flipping and all that stuff. I don't know why I don't really enjoy it that much, but I just don't enjoy it that much.
Yeah, I just got away from it.
Where were you bass fishing at? Farm ponds?
Me?
Brian? Yeah.
I've never fished a farm pond in my life.
What?
No, and so I mean, like a lot of the state fishing lakes, as they call them here, like 200 acre at best lakes.
What's the smallest body of water you've ever fished?
Probably where this wiper came from. I can't do this backwards. 175 acre state fishing
You look
lake.
like a real professional there.
Well, it's fucking backward. No, that 12.5 pound wiper was caught on a jerk bait while I was bass fishing, and I had no net. There's a video on my YouTube channel of it from I think that was like 9 years ago now.
That blows my mind that you've never fished a legit pond. You might be the only person that I've ever met that has fished and has not fished a pond.
No, it's hard to get me on the bank. You know what I mean? Just because I've had a boat for so long and I'm so acclimated to being in a boat. And I mean, most people should understand that. I'm not saying I'm too good for the bank, but it'd be like putting me on the
Well, you're a
docks.
walleye fisherman.
I mean, I am an angler.
I've caught way more walleyes off the bank than I have out of a boat.
Because you have those opportunities to do so in those, like the Des Moines River or, like whatever Red Rock dumps out of, and then all the way down there. Because I know another guy in Iowa that literally probably has more 28-inch walleyes every fall, 28 to 30-inch walleyes every fall around your area that he catches. Well, I know he fishes Red Rock a lot, but he does fish from the bank or just creek sneaking in general. It doesn't have to be on the bank, but.
What about like the simplicity of just walking down to the bank, not having to hook up a boat, back it in, take it out? Like,
there's nothing simple about that, because the last time I did that with Josh, not this spring, but the years past spring, dude, that was like the worst day of my life. I took him out. I mean, you can't take
you live a blessed life, Brian.
Dude, well, it's because I don't have, dude, I watch your videos with the walleyes and stuff in skinny water and like the quality of those fish. We just don't have those opportunities here in Kansas. And it's like, I can do that on the big water. But that last time that I fished with Josh, like we went out in the morning or the afternoon, the first day, hammered the wipers and white bass, went out the next morning, pounded them, and then the wind got so bad and Josh was like, let's go find a creek. And so I like took him to these, just like wherever. It was in the spring, so I was like, oh, we could find the white bass or whatever leftover walleyes that may still be up there. It was pretty late for that, but then like Josh just kept walking and he kept walking and I kept following him, and then I went to go walk down a bank, slipped, fucking rolled through the mud all the way into the water. I like rolled into creek that's like 50 degrees and I'm covered in mud and soaked, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. That was fun. Let's never do that again.
That's part of the good time, man. It's an adventure.
And we never caught a fish.
You go fishing with Josh, you never know what's going to happen.
That sounds like every time Ryan and I go fishing, like somebody slips, falls in the water, like breaks something.
Plan on it. That's
we don't catch nothing. Just
I get it. I'm not saying, and I tell people this all the time, I'm not saying I'm too good for the bank, but it's like my brain is just so accustomed to having to have like the trolling motor remote in my hand and like moving around quickly because I'm used to guiding every day. And it's like we have between 4 and 5 hours to get a job done. So I want to be moving around. Whereas if I had the whole entire day to go make a video and fish from the bank, I could probably get it done. Do I want to? Not really, but I would do it with you, Spencer. I would come up there and do it with you, Spencer. But
if you came up, I'd say come up in the spring or fall and we would walk the bank for some walleyes. Give
me an 1/8 ounce jig and a certified swimmer, and we're going to Pound Town.
You can catch anything. You can go to White Bass Pound Town with that. You can go to Walleye Pound Town.
I love the certified swimmer. There's not a lot of swim baits on the market that have the profile that a certified swimmer does. I like the slimness. It's sneaky and slim. It's not big and bulky with a huge tail. I like them. I'm not trying to boost your ego, but I like them. I like the other one too. I like the straight tail one too. I have some in the boat.
That's what I caught the crappies on today was the old certified welterweight.
Welterweights?
Yeah, the certified swimmer, that was the first one, and the profile, Scott nailed that immediately, and I just had him send me different variations of plastic, like the rigidity of the plastic, and I just wanted it to get to the point where it did a lot without having to move it very much, because cold water walleyes, when you're fishing a jig in plastic more often, that seems to be very key. And having just enough tail kick where it reduces the rate of fall, because that seems to also be a key to triggering walleye bites, where you got a slow moving bait that you can hop it up and it falls slowly. And man, when they hit that thing, like I just freaking love it.
Very soft plug for drastic plastics. Certified swimmer.
We try to plug him as much as possible. He's a great dude.
Yes, he is.
Where is he based out of?
He's up north of Madison.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. He
like me.
What's that?
Wisconsin boy like me.
Oh yeah, you are.
Well, he's an Iowa boy transplanted into Wisconsin.
That's true. That's true. He's a Southern Iowa boy, God's country.
Nice.
But while I'm thinking of it, help me understand this. What's your boat got in it? Sea Deck or HydroTurf or
Aqua Traction?
Aqua Traction. That's it. Third time. I would have got it on the third one.
The number one.
Especially after he told you.
The number one closed cell foam flooring on the market.
Why would any boat? Why isn't that just standard? Why would any boat have carpet? Like
Aqua Traction. They struck up a deal with Camus boats, so Camus boats come stock with Aqua Traction now. But yeah, to your point, it's like, why do they make fishing boats anymore with carpet as an option at all?
Yeah, like why was it
I mean,
ever
or any boat, really?
Yeah,
but
it's for the people that never use their boat. They don't have any issues with it.
I just the idea of vacuuming the floor of my boat like it's a bedroom, just
right. I used to do that so much too. Like had a specific like shark vacuum for my boat. Like the last boat that I had with carpet was that blue and tan Alumacraft. And then I had a Crestliner with carpet after that, but that's when I got hooked up with Aqua Traction. I did the cockpit in that boat and ran that for a year before I got the Lund and then went all Aqua Traction. But yeah, I mean, it looks cool, but like for me and for you, especially functionality wise, of just like fire up the washdown. When white bass are shitting everywhere, you got shad guts or whatever, just spray it down, be done with it. You know?
My problem's remembering, like, oh, I have a washdown pump. It would be great if I used it. And then there's just like guts everywhere. And then I get back to the house and I look at them dried on the floor of the boat. I'm like, man, I should have washed them off. Whoops. I haven't cleaned my cooler out in 2 or 3 weeks probably, and I opened it up to throw some shad in there today, and I almost threw up.
It's like smelling salt, just like, whoo, wake me up real quick, Daddy.
If smelling salt made you nauseous, it would be just like smelling salt. One wakes you up, one makes you want to throw up.
I do that at least once a season. I get in a hurry when I get home after a trip and don't clean out the cooler or the bait tank
Well, that's even worse because it's like 90 out. At least down here, it's not that hot and it's still not good. But if I did what I'm doing now in July, I mean, there'd be maggots growing in the cooler.
Yeah.
I found a piece of, like, I thought I had all the bait out and there was some old ice and there was a chunk of skipjack that had been in there somewhere between 1 and 4 weeks.
You didn't taste it to see?
No. I gave it a sniff, and that was the tightest range I could pull together on it.
I should call her.
What's something that every boat should have in it? Like not on it, like not like an accessory, but something everybody should have in their boat.
Fish.
Well, let's make it a little more fun than that. Like no safety items like, oh, you should have a fire extinguisher in your boat. Well, no shit. Okay.
No. I mean, you're surrounded by water. What do you need a fire extinguisher for?
Yeah, exactly. I tried to tell the Coast Guard guy that, and I just couldn't get through to him.
Yeah. No, two things that are in the same category, tools-wise. A never-ending supply of pliers and braid scissors, like good cutters.
How many pairs of pliers do you have in your boat?
6.
No shit.
Yeah. Two in the back, 2 in the front, and then 2 extra. Because I mean, clients inevitably they're going to leave one on the gunnel and then knock it off, or I forget that it's there, they forget that it's there, and then I take off, and then it's kaput. So,
you ever put any of that stuff on like a stretchy lanyard?
No. Because I mean, that would be the smart thing to do, but I'm not.
I mean, it's saving $82 a year, but
hey, I just write them off, baby. Tax write-off. Good tax write-off on the pliers.
So there's a company that's local called RoboHawk that makes like these coiled, stretchy, parachute cord covered lanyards, and they are slicker than shit. Like I got a pair of pliers that would have flew out of the boat at least 15 times because like I'll look in the rearview mirror and I'll see the pliers stretched out of the lanyard just floating in the
old Superman pliers.
I just don't. I don't like being confined. You know what I mean?
But if you have them on different parts of the boat, like you got one in the back, one in the midship, and then one in the front, then who cares?
If I didn't spend more than like $6 or $7 on pairs of pliers at any one time, I would. Like there were times where I was spending like $30 on like really nice Rapala pliers that would just be gone within like 2 months. And so I just turn them and burn them, baby.
See, I'm funny. I got one pair of pliers in my boat that was given to me. And then I have another pair of pliers in the boat that's, I just had a brain fart. What's like one of the fancy saltwater companies? They make a
Cuda?
No,
Cuda.
Fancier than that. Bubba. You just not talking about names of your southern buddies.
Bubba makes like
that's
like that.
Well, Cuda
blade,
and
Bubba blade and pliers and I don't know. Cuda.
Yeah,
I use
Cuda
scissors.
Oh, they're Van Stalls.
Oh, that's way.
If I'd have had a third guess, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I've heard that story before. But that was the gift from my mom that when I started guiding, she got those for me as a Christmas present, just to like make me feel like a real fishing guide. So I have.
But do you still have them?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 4 or 5 years old, and I will say they're stupid expensive, but they literally look like the day I got them. That's they get the.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
I rust out a lot of
some
shit.
pretty good shit.
Yeah, I mean, they better be for what they cost, but they are freaking sweet.
What did you say they were called? Or the
Van Stalls?
Vans. It even sounds like you should be wearing like a polo shirt and like a sweater tied around your neck type thing.
Oh, I was just about to say I don't own a polo shirt, but I bought a. So me and Mike fished like 3-4 weeks ago, maybe longer than that. Time flies, and after we got off the water, we were sitting there drinking beers, and I might have had too many beers, and
that'll happen.
Allegedly.
Yeah, and we got to talking about like shirts that we would wear for a video based on like the season, because I have that Christmas catfish sweater. And then I realized I didn't have a Halloween one. And then when I was looking for the Halloween one, I found this button-up collared shirt that is just covered in catfish. So now that's like the fanciest shirt I own.
Good thing you're already married, or that'd have been it.
Yeah.
Well, what did you wear when you were teaching?
I guess button-up collared shirts, but I don't ever wear them anymore, and I got rid of most of them.
It's a repressed memory now.
That was like 3 lives ago.
It feels like a long time ago, but then it really wasn't that long ago.
That my wife always tells me, because my past life was working in IT, and when her and I first started dating, I had to wear like khakis every day, and she's like, "Oh, I miss your pleated khakis." Talk about repressed
Not
memories.
the fact that you smell like fish every day.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to, Jake from State Farm? What are you wearing? Khakis?
Khakis.
He sounds hideous.
Yeah, well, he's a guy, so. Classic.
I did wear a pair of pleated khakis the first year I taught, and then that was the end. No more after that.
The old Docker life. Dockers.
Although I mean, I mostly wear khakis. I don't hardly wear jeans anymore.
I don't either.
They're just stretchy and comfortable.
I like the pant. Hey, can we like have a real non-hetero moment for a second? I mean, I'm a big Sims guy and I love my Sims pants that I wear, but the ones that you've been wearing lately, Spencer, I really like those pants.
Which, the bibs or the pants?
No, the pants. Like in your last video or two when you're on the bank, you're just like, I don't know. It's just really form-fitting to your thighs. Your thighs.
They're probably the Cools. I got some cool pants, like KUHL.
Yeah, that's what I think. Because at first I saw the name and I was like, "Oh, he's wearing Kuyu." Damn it!
No, I can't afford that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, big duck hunter guy.
Yeah, is Kuyu? I thought they were the mountain like hunter dudes.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but I mean I have a lot.
Who's the hunting, the really expensive like deer hunting, duck hunting? They make waders. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Where everybody's pro staff for.
Yeah. That's the difference. I always tell people, I'm like, Sims is the Sitka of the fishing world, but the difference is that their pro staff is not so far reaching.
Well, I wonder if that's part of their business model because like if everyone's pro staff, they get a discount, but your margins are so high where you still make money off of them.
True.
Like then they just buy more stuff because they're pro staff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like PC
Get a
Fun.
20% discount, and it's still 200% the cost of anything else you could buy.
Right.
Still making some money.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Random thought.
We're digressing. Do we need to get back to flatheads? Does anybody in the chat? Hey, chat. That's another term that I learned. Like my wife's kids, it's like a Twitch thing, but YouTubers say it now. Like they refer to their audience as like, "Hey, chat. Hey, chat."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just a weird thing. But hey, chat. Do you want to hear about my incidental flatheads that are bigger than everyone in this podcast?
Time out.
Kansas does have some sneaky big fish.
Well, think of it like this though. I kind of think of fishing a little bit like where it doesn't feel like I really caught a fish if I wasn't targeting the fish.
I know.
So if I were to throw out a 12-inch bullhead and a 16-pound walleye eats it, did I really catch a walleye?
That's a tough one.
On the other hand, if I throw a square bill and catch a 60-pound flathead, but is it really catching the 60-pound flathead?
You got guys that's all they do spring and fall.
That leads me to my next point, because all three of my biggest flatheads, so 2 I caught and one of my clients caught the third one. So the first one was from April of 2020 or 2021. And we were wiper fishing, and this was, well, Spencer, it's the same spot that we fished together, that channel bend, deep channel bend, on a 3-inch swim bait. And it was 55.5 pounds. And that was an April fish, main lake, like middle of the lake type of thing on a channel break. And then 1 year after that, a client in the same spot hooked another one at least that big that took him into the brush, broke him off. And then the second one was smallmouth fishing in October in the rocks with a square bill. That one I caught, and it was just over 50. And then the third one that I caught was in June of, not this past June, but the year before, in 4 feet of water on like a foundation type structure, pitching jigs for walleyes, like 1/8 ounce jig, 2.45 inch swim bait.
I'm honestly
so like
you
3 different times a year for 3 flatheads over 50 pounds.
I'm honestly surprised that it doesn't happen more to you.
It does. Well, it does. I mean, I've sent you a bunch of pictures.
No, but I mean, even more
small ones.
Like,
oh, yeah.
But you catch a pile of them. But I would think where you're at and what you're doing, I would think that it would almost be a every trip thing, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like fall throwing square bills up in the rocks, like catch a bunch of those little ones, you know, the cool, really cool looking colored up little guys. But yeah, those big ones, it's just cool to see that those fish still exist. Cause I mean, it's like my client that had that 55.5, we certified that as a lake record. And then I posted a live video of the biologist weighing it and everything. And of course that video got shared like 150,000 times. And everyone was like, oh, back in 1908, we caught way bigger ones on trot lines and jug lines and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, no one fucking cares because you never told anybody. You just ate it. But yeah, I just, and that first one, that was 55.5, the biologist said conservatively he could age at right around like 28 or 29 years old. So
that's so old, man.
It's just cool to note. And I specifically made sure to ask him, because like I always rewatch that video of me like cold water in April, like I'm in my full bibs and I'm like waiting at the boat ramp to like sit there with this fish like Jeremy Wade style and like holding it and just like watching it go. And I'm like, dude, that fish is so old and has potentially never been caught in 28 years. You know,
some of your walleyes could be that old.
Oh no, not here. Not in Kansas. In Green Bay, for sure. Like all my fish over 28 to 30 inches, those fish are 20 plus years old. But down here, they grow so much faster. Up there, they grow so much slower.
That's
So Iowa, they just get eaten before they get that big.
Yeah, but most, like, it's all regional too, because down here, someone catches a walleye that big, they put it in a 5-gallon bucket and eat it or mount it. Yeah.
Me, you said, yeah, somebody eats them. I'm like, well, I've been doing my part, trying to eat as many as I can. I tell you what, I'm pretty conservation minded with everything, except probably walleyes. I have let a walleye go before.
I was gonna say, usually if they're 25 or so, you start feeling bad, and they usually go back in.
Yeah, but the difference is that up north, like Green Bay, they're protected. Like you cannot, like, I think it's up until May 5th, you can keep on the tributaries one fish over 28. And then I think on the bay, you can keep one over 15. So they're protected in the tribs, obviously, before May 5th because they're spawning. So
wait, you can't keep any over 15 inches?
Not in the river, no.
Wow.
But on the bay, but then once that first weekend in May, which would be opener, then you can keep 5 over 15 everywhere.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it's interesting but I mean, those are naturally reproducing fish, where here in Kansas, it's basically put and take, but I still do my part in my boat to let those big ones go, because we wouldn't have had 6 fish over 27 inches and 2 over 28. Those are like direct products of catch and release. I'm not saying that I caught those fish and released them when they were 22 and now they're 28, but
yeah, I mean, I run my mouth about keeping them. I've never kept a walleye over 26 inches.
Yeah. I mean, dude, sometimes too, when I was in Green Bay in this past August, I had to clean a 28.5 because it just would not release. I kept it for an hour and a half in the live well, but it just would not right itself. Like, it was breathing, but every time I tried to let it go, it would just go tits up. And what am I going to do? Just let it float out into the bay? Yeah. No. So but then you think about, okay, how many tournaments, and this goes for catfish too. Granted, they are way more resilient. All the walleye tournaments, like 150 to 200 boats on big water, in rough water, and how many of those, what the mortality rate of, like 3 to 5 fish, we'll say, or 5 fish limits for everybody. How many of those fish croak? So many. So I'm like, okay,
hold up.
I had one big fish.
Aren't they all catch and keep?
No, not all of them.
Okay.
Just depends. A lot of them do, they'll have like the live release boat. So they'll just.
Aren't the NWTs though? They keep them, don't they?
It depends on the water body.
Okay. I've watched a few of the videos, and there was some where the guy was like, the drama was trying to decide which one to keep and which one not to, because you threw them in a cooler.
That's all dependent on the water body and their regulations. Gotcha. And that's the fun of the tournament aspect, is like that decision making process of, I've got one chance, or every one you catch, if it's in your life, there's no cull type of thing.
Yeah.
Is there culling in the catfish tournaments? Can you cull or no?
Oh yeah. Okay. So Iowa's interesting too. It took me a while before I realized what was going on, but Iowa's a no cull state. So if you put a fish in your live well or on a stringer, you can't legally release it. But in tournaments, they allowed it. And for a while, I'm like, are they breaking the law? But apparently there's special permits you can pull for tournaments where you can cull in those. But it might just be specific to catfish. Well, although I think bass, they allow culling too. So I don't know.
Right.
I'm rambling at this point in time.
No, we all are. I feel like I'm taking away from Tazler too. Ryan,
we're good.
Talk.
He's good at throwing in the one-liners. Like that's your expertise, I'd say.
That is. That's where I come to shine.
You're thoughtful. You have some good opinions to share. But you're really good at just throwing in them one-line jabs, right?
That bullshit to just smooth everything through.
Yeah. Usually at my detriment. That's okay.
Well, and Spencer only gave me 2 reference points for this podcast, it was to talk about the potential of flatheads and my boyish good looks or something like that. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to talk about whatever.
Yeah, one of them.
I try to stay on track like it's my own podcast, but
there's no track. But I do have just random questions that pop up in my head. And this is one, kind of the back to the would you rather. Would you rather be stuck on the water with no drinking water when it's 100 degrees out, or have no TP after a Taco Bell dinner the night before?
Oh, dude, no question. No TP. I got plenty of stuff that I can use.
Yeah.
I got a shirt. I got socks. I got undies.
That's what I should have done the caveat. Like,
should have thrown a caveat. Yep.
You're wearing flip flops because it's 100 degrees out. You don't have socks on.
Yeah,
I'd find something. Yeah.
I have a buddy that he kind of became known for it just because it was like 3 or 4 trips in a row where he would walk out of the woods without underwear because he would have to take a dump, and that he'd sacrifice his socks and still need some more TP, and he'd end up ripping his underwear and using his underwear for TP. I'm not going to say
on those big jobs.
Yeah, apparently
on a normal fishing trip, I have at least 3 rolls stashed in strategic locations.
Yeah, it's not
in my bag, in the truck.
Any good fisherman knows you never leave the house without 2 things: shit tickets and spare boat key. And that's it. I mean, my boat key never leaves the ignition anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, toilet paper. My boat is stocked with Charmin wipes, and I have let it rip over the side of my gunnels more times than I can count. So
I would say in the springtime, I shit more outside than I do inside, for sure. Doing mushroom hunting and fishing and camping. And
I'll share this story. It's kind of embarrassing, but what the hell? I mean, it's just on the live internet in front of, I don't know how many people.
12 people. 12.
Yeah. I was crappie fishing last fall, way up in this creek arm, like way up, like 3, 4, 5 miles off the main waterway. Hadn't seen a person in like 2 hours, and it just hit me like, I gotta go. And it's happening right now. I was 50 feet from the bank. I'm like, I'm not making it to the bank.
Now you know how I feel.
Yeah. So I hang it over the side, and as soon as I start doing my business, I hear a and I look over my shoulder, and there's 2 dudes in this little 14-foot John boat just putting by, trying to, do the little cover the side of their eyes.
Oh my God, dude.
It was embarrassing.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
Don't hold anything back, I guess.
If they look, they're the one that's perverted, not you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it were me, I'd be like, damn, I feel bad for that guy because I have freaking been there. It's like,
absolutely.
What are you gonna do?
TV.
And I didn't even eat any Taco Bell, so I don't even know what the deal.
Okay,
was.
but did you at least give them a courtesy wave? Because
no, I pretended like we weren't there. Like they were pretending like I wasn't there.
Hey, here.
Everyone who's taken the time to like comment all these comments, like we're having a fun conversation, so it's hard for me to get to all of them. But
I was gonna ask about that.
Keep them coming. They are hilarious. Like I've been, if I've just started giggling a little bit, I mean, some of it I'm just laughing at like Ryan and Brian, but a lot of it I'm laughing at these comments are hilarious.
Good.
If anybody that watches this on YouTube, this is live on Facebook too. So it's definitely worth hopping in just for the entertainment value of reading some of the crap, like what Dylan says. I caught a 33-inch walleye on the Missouri using live skipjack, and it grilled up just fine. First off, I know that's BS because who grills walleye?
Dude, I have a lot of clients that tell me about their grilling walleye, and I'm like, but why? Why would you do that? I don't know.
I did.
Sure you can make anything taste good.
I did flathead, baked it this week just because I didn't have any breading. It was okay.
Grilled flathead's pretty damn top notch.
Blackens, man. I've been doing more and more blacken fish, and I just like it more and more. It's not
as far as grilled fish go. Flathead's probably my favorite. It comes out pretty nice.
So what's your top end for cutting a flathead? Like
10-ish.
10,
I mean, I say ish because like it might be 12 or 15 if I'm really crazy with flathead. But so it's a real
cut one side off and then throw it back in.
It's a pretty soft line for me. No, it's not a hard line, but it's not a soft line. It's like, but it's a line, it's a line.
That kind of makes me curious.
8 to 15, one a year.
What do you say, Ryan?
I said like 8 to 15, one a year. I get 2-3 meals out of it. That's my flathead consumption usually.
Yeah. And I probably, as much fish as I eat, I still only keep anywhere from 4 to 8 flatheads a year. That's all.
When the Chan man doesn't want to play?
I mean, if I get to pick between a flathead or a channel, I'm going with the flathead. But
are you?
But how many channel do you eat a year, Spencer?
Oh, way more than 4 to 8.
No, 60?
No, I mean, let me think. I don't eat as much fish as you think. Probably, I eat fish like 2 to 4 times a month.
But like when me and you go camping and we're catching fish, we should catch 3 or 4.
Yeah,
and that's just one trip.
Right.
And you,
I don't just keep channels though. Like I keep
what would be your blue cat top end? Same.
Yeah, 10. I don't feel bad butchering a 15-pound blue cat, but
yeah,
so much meat on them.
I mean, that's like what, a 28 to 30 inch fish. Well, like 25 to 28 inch fish.
No, that's probably like a 28 to 32 inch fish.
Well, I mean, I'm just going off of the reference point of like in Kansas, most lakes, well, around me are 35 inches minimum. And I maybe only caught 1 or 2 by accident that were at 35 or close. I'd never measured, but
they're probably 35 inch fish is somewhere between 18 and 25 pounds most of the time.
Especially in reservoirs.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the few that we've caught this fall have had literal like double-sized softball bellies. Like they are just gorging.
Your reservoir is just loaded with food, and that's one thing that seems to be a common theme with anywhere that does well with blue cats is there are just ridiculous amounts of herring species like skipjack or shad or or silver carp. Like
wipers.
Wipers, yeah. This is where wipers do well and stripers do well. Blue cats tend to do well, and your reservoir, I think it's up and coming for the blue cats. I think it's just going to get better and better and better.
I have graphed more shad in the last 3 weeks this time of year than I can ever remember having graphed ever. And I mean, we're talking like the spots that I walleye fish where, we're setting up in the deep water and then shining live scope up to the break and the shad up in the, 15 to 22 foot range. It's just all very comfortable groups of shad up high and all the fish are just sitting down below. And then every walleye that I clean, white bass that I clean are just chock full. It's not just shad, it's little crappies too, but I'm just talking about from like a graphing perspective of, I don't remember seeing in this late in the year that many shad at freaking everywhere. But that's also how I know that the lake has fully finished turning over too, because now the shad are everywhere. Before, during turnover, they just went shallow, but then after the lake finished turning over, they're just everywhere. And the birds all the seagulls reflect that too. It's crazy. Yeah. But I mean, these fish are so fed. It's a miracle we can even do as well as we do in the boat every day. You know what I mean? It's like, how can we compete with that?
I do think every once in a while, I do think about that. I have to pee really, really bad. I got a question. You guys talk and I'll hop in when I come back.
Okay.
Especially for Brian, who fishes for a bunch of different species of fish. But if you could only fish one bait all year, for everything. Like you get to tie it on to every single rod and only fish this one thing for the whole year. What's it going to be? I'll be back.
Okay. Ryan, did you and Spencer used to do the original podcast together too?
Yeah.
That's what
we
I
started
thought.
out the first, I think we did 60 the first kind of run.
Yeah.
Over the first year and a half, maybe 2 years.
That was like the main reason that I started my podcast, and like Spencer helped me through the beginning stages of like things to get. And I've gone through like I went through several different like microphones trying to figure out like what worked and everything. And that was all because of the original River Certified podcast.
Yeah, that was,
I knew him personally. So what's that?
It was definitely a good time. There was so much work involved.
Dude, and that's like people ask me all the time, like, oh, like how much money do you make on the podcast? I'm like, what fucking money? It's a labor of love. Like, it's literally, it's just a labor of love, like another creative outlet for me, like outside of like video stuff and everything. And I try and stay consistent, but yeah, with so much shit going on at home and just like my spare time, I'm like, okay, who the fuck am I going to talk to and what am I going to talk to him about? And trying to like trying
to line that up. And then you get people that tell you 2 hours before you're supposed to do a podcast that they're busy, and you're like, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there goes the consistency of like, oh, I'm going to do it every Tuesday night or whatever. And it's like, okay.
And I had a couple buddies and they're like, God damn it. Okay. I'll be over. They were my fill-ins, you know?
Yeah. Which is, most people just want to hear other guys bullshit, but there's something to be said for the, like, oh, we've got, a list of topics to talk about and then banter in between.
Yes.
Which to me makes a good podcast. And I'm just really bad at spending 45 minutes digressing. We finally get back on track.
We got to 3 topics I wanted to touch.
Well, wait, you guys, you said you covered 3 topics while we were gone?
No, we were just talking about the original podcast.
That's the best.
Yeah,
when
we absolutely ignored your layup that you gave us, and we just went on our own.
No. I assumed that we were gonna sit on that question until you got back and then
No, I was giving it to you guys as a definite talking point while I was going to the bathroom, and I also wanted to say,
Spencer,
circle back.
I didn't have anybody in a John boat drive by while I was going to the bathroom this time. So
that's good. That's good. That'd be awkward.
Not even Ella.
Yeah, not even Ella. Ella doesn't even own a John boat, so
not yet.
Yeah.
I don't make very many guarantees, but I guarantee you Ella will never own a John boat. If she ever buys one, I don't know. I'm sure we could come up with some ridiculous bet, but I'm not worried about losing. But anyway,
it's good enough. I'll buy her one for her birthday. So
what were you guys talking about? The podcast?
Yeah, the original podcast we did.
What about it?
I just asked. I said, Ryan, you were the original dude that Spencer did the original River Certified podcast with, and I was like, that's kind of what inspired my podcast. Because remember, Spencer, I was blowing you up all the time about like, oh, what's the best microphone and this, that, and the other, and that's like, so I was just trying to inflate your ego, everyone's ego, to be like, you guys inspired me to have my podcast completely fall off, and that's why I have this nice microphone.
No, that's about it.
Spencer and I did a good podcast live together the last time. We did. We have fun. That's why I invited you on here, man. And this won't be the last time. I enjoy shooting the shit with you. It's a good time. Yeah,
it's been a while since I've been a guest on a podcast. So
did you guys ever talk about the one lure you'd use?
No, that's what I thought.
And now you're saying lure before you said bait, so that changes my complete answer.
Yeah, it's got to be a lure.
Because mine was going to be creek chub. Because anything will eat a creek chub.
Brian doesn't believe in live bait, and he kind of cries when he has to use worms.
I don't need, but that's, dude, my clients that I have.
Josh?
Never heard of her. No, so I mean, I wanted to let Ryan answer a question first, but since I'm the guest, I'll just take it over. It's not that I don't need live bait, but I have the same clients for 3 days this week. Tomorrow's our last day. Thank freaking God. But I mean the fishing, like the windows right now. I mean, it's feast or famine. It's like late fall. The water temps are dropping. Today, the water temp was 42 because we had a warm day. But then tomorrow, like the day before, it was like 16 when we put the boat in. Tomorrow, it's supposed to be like 17 or 18, and I think we'll level out. But these fish know like winter is coming, and they have to feed and feed and feed and feed, and it's going to be a short window, not like last year where the water temps were in the mid 40s until New Year's Eve.
Yes.
The bite windows are so small and specific. It's like, I don't know when it's going to be, but you got to be out there. It's not going to be an all day type of thing. But when the fishing got tougher, and I mean, we're live scoping fish, watching them come right up to our baits. Everybody's doing everything right, but they just don't want to eat. And the guy's like, well, what if tomorrow we brought like some shiners or something? I'm like, dude, if these fish don't want to eat, they're not going to eat. You could
it doesn't matter.
Their face. They're going to do the same thing with a jig and a plastic as they are a shiner. So,
why did you use my voice to impersonate that
guy? That's just my go-to.
Yeah, I understand.
No, I mean, there are specific presentations like a bottom bouncer and a spinner, which is bread and butter from mid-May all the way through end of June, early July. I mean, you could use like a Berkeley Gulp type half crawler situation, but I mean, sometimes you just need the meat. And my theory has always been, and this
I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
That when you get your first couple bug hatches, like in May down here, midge flies especially, like mayflies come a little bit later than the midge flies. That's when those walleyes are going to be on a meat bite. So you need night crawlers. And that's, I mean, again, to run a bottom bouncer or just a bottom bouncer with a slow death hook or a spinner, you just need night crawlers. But then there's the crappie spawn where, like, if I do run those trips, which is very seldom, it is fun to watch a slip bobber go down. Like
yeah.
Spencer loves to watch bobbers.
I do.
I love to watch bobbers go down. But
I'm a toddler in a grown man's body.
It's fun. I mean, I love doing it with kids, and like my wife can even do it. I took my mom to do it this past May when the crappies were spawning. But like, I don't want to be buying 3 dozen minnows every day because I don't have to.
So I get all that. You use lures.
A 3/8 ounce jig with a 2.5 to 3.25 inch swim bait is my bread and butter bait. You can catch every fish that swims, and I have proven that for the last 10 years with a jig and a swim bait.
I think one fun thing that I'm noticing about the crappies is all these crappie lures are itty bitty, and I'm catching more of them on like 2.5 to 3 inch, split tail plastics as I am on anything else.
Well, I mean, my personal best crappie, which she sits right there, was caught on a Megabass 110 5-inch jerkbait.
That's kind of sweet. You were speaking Latin until you said 5-inch jerkbait. I understood it after that.
Like absolutely slacklined my jerkbait. So like 3 of these fish, one of the 6 pound, almost 6 pound smallmouth above me was caught on a jerkbait too. But that almost 16-inch crappie hit my jerkbait harder than the almost 6 pound smallmouth did.
That's almost 16-inch crappie was almost as big as the third biggest crappie I caught in a cast net today.
And I bet you ate it too.
No, I let him.
Yeah, you did. You can't. You just cut that part out of the video.
I can honestly say that I've never kept anything out of a cast net to eat.
Well, because that would not be legal.
Correct. Well, no. I mean, you could catch a carp in a cast net and eat that. legally.
Right. I'm talking game fish.
Right.
Like your largemouth, catch a 7-pound largemouth and put it right in the, put it in the bathtub overnight and then eat it like a flathead.
You could catch there's some places you can catch some, like our game, like Midwest game fish aren't classified as, like, some of them aren't game fish, some other places. Like I think you can catch a flathead in a cast net in Alabama. Well,
They
I don't know.
bone.
What?
That would be very Alabama of them.
I think blues and channels are considered a game fish, but flatheads aren't in Alabama, I think. But they might fall under this. They might fall under the same regulations. I don't remember. It's something wonky. I gotta read. I mean, it doesn't really apply to me because I'm not going to keep anything out of a net, and I'm not going to shoot it with a bow. So
that's very Alabama of them.
Yeah.
No offense, Alabama. I'm just a stupid Yankee from Wisconsin.
maybe I'm thinking Louisiana. I don't think a catfish is a game fish down there either.
That would also be
that's
very Louisiana of them.
Yeah. Oh, Dylan says I ate an Asian carp out of a cast net. I did. I forgot about that one.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'd do it again. It was.
How's that?
It was so freaking good.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've caught them and just flayed them and made nuggets out of them, and they're really good, but they're really bony. So what I did, I blended this one up and made fish cakes out of it. And I should have blended it up more because there were still some bones, but I mean, they really are good, like really good.
It's really something.
They're better than white bass. Dare I say they're better than catfish.
As bloody as they are, that surprises me.
They're not that bloody though. Like,
I think dog shit probably tastes better than a white bass.
I've never had a dog shit taco, but I have had a white bass taco.
Well, there's only one way to compare.
Yeah, you got to fry it.
Yeah, I was gonna say anything would taste good. Okay, hey, let me get Spencer back on track with this question. Tazler, number one, bait or lure.
Number one lure would be a swim bait. I mean, it'd be everything eats fish.
Yeah,
it replicates fish. I'd do a swim bait.
I'd have to too, and I'd go a little bit bigger than what you're talking about, Brian. Probably like a 3.5 or 4 inch swim bait.
That used to be my sweet spot, but man, I don't know if it's because these reservoirs are so.
I don't fish for little baby fish like you do, Brian. I fish for big fish.
I don't have to defend that. Anybody watching this can go to my socials and check that out. Double check that. But anyway, no, that used to be my sweet spot. But I mean, 7 to 8 or 9,000 acre lakes. While that might seem large,
it's not.
They fish so small, and
I mean, even some big lakes fish small.
Totally. But it forces me to, like, over the last like 4 to 5 years, really size down my presentations. And it's not like big baits catch big fish. Like, we could throw a 2.5 inch bait and then a 6 inch bait, and they're still going to catch the same 10 inch white bass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're also sizing down to 2 3/4 to 3 inch, like, straight tail plastics this time of year vertically to catch big fish, because they have like 3 to 6 shad and or crappies already in their belly. That's what's going to get you the bites. And it doesn't matter, like, getting bites because we need the bites, big or small. It's because, like, small baits will catch giant fish. And all of those walleyes that I keep referring to, because it's just so fun to talk about in Kansas, like, as a fishing guide, having 6 or 7 walleyes over 27 inches and 2 over 28. All of those fish were caught on baits less than 3.5 inches long.
Sure.
So, and that's just, but to your point, back when these lakes weren't so pressured and before live scope and everything, 10 to 12 years ago when I first started guiding, I was throwing huge swim baits. Like, that was fun. Like, when I first started fishing with Milliken, and he would come out and fish for wipers and throw like those big like 6-inch like megabass soft line through swim baits and stuff. You could still get those bites, but back then it was way easier to throw big baits and have fun with big fish. Now it's like they've seen it all, and you just really got to be sneaky and finessey and size down. And I love finesse fishing. And
yeah, if I ever became a professional bass fisherman, I'd definitely be a minnow shaker because I like throwing a jig in plastic.
Yeah. Like with the sissy stick. Like I love my spinning rods.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I mean, you can't do the same thing, obviously, when you have 6 rods off the back of your boat with big cut skipjack, but you know, you do your creek sneaking and you're throwing a 7-1 or 7-2 medium or medium light spinning light spinning rod, your new little Anvil hookup. Has there been anything official with Anvil yet?
I mean, as far as sponsorship go, or with them putting those rods out?
Yes.
Yes. I haven't heard anything. I know that their ownership split up. So
really? Adam Cook sent me a bunch of line a couple months ago, and he was supposed to send me a couple spinning rods, but I never got them.
Yeah, I don't think you will, because I believe he walked away.
That's what I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
I like the line. The reaction line the braid was good.
Yes, very good. And those spinning rods are sweet. So if they ever put them out there and anybody wants to get an Anvil spinning rod, the blanks are legit. And what I like about the one that I got, which it's just a prototype, so who knows if it'd be the final one, but it's like a super versatile spinning rod. It's 7'1", medium light, but it's got some backbone. Or no, it's a light. It's a light, but
really?
It almost feels like a medium light just because the amount of backbone, but it's got a lot of forgiveness on the end. But I'm saying all that to say that small like crappies are fun on it, and so are like
it works perfect for your like this time of year, or like last month, however long the fall walleye run lasts in the skinny water, throwing 1/8 ounce jigs and stuff. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
A 1/16 to 1/4 ounce jig in a plastic, great on that rod.
Yeah.
Quarter is a little big, but very fishable. Ryan got a new fishing rod.
I did. I can't wait for you to see it. It's awesome.
Is it a whisker seeker?
No.
Did you get a seeker?
One of my buddies made me a walleye rod. So
okay.
It's pretty badass. I'm kind of pumped about it.
Have you used it yet?
Yeah, not successfully, but it's been out a couple times.
No,
well, you could always consider it a bait rod too. That's what most catfish guys say. I got my bait rod.
It's not heavy enough for my bait.
You saw the picture of the NRX I caught, didn't you?
Yes. Well, because remember I told you I was like, I'll quickly buy that red off of you, and then you're like, I found the owner.
that was a crazy story, man.
Insane.
I have to. Well, so originally somebody commented on the story, like, use it as a bait rod. I'm like, that is a great idea. Use a Shimano X-Sense and a Loomis NRX for bullheads. That would be perfect. But so my mom came down, and Operation Get Mom a Big Old Catfish was in full effect, and we were dragging baits, and one got hung up and popped out, but the rod stayed bent like we were dragging something. And we only had like 15 minutes before we had to pack it up because I guess Ella made dinner plans. So we were really
aware of the big old catfish plan.
Right. It ended up working out the next day, but reeled that in, and there was a freaking 7'1" medium light, which is kind of funny that it's 7'1" like the Anvil, but G Loomis NRX Plus with a Shimano X-Sense on it, and this ungodly giant minnow, like it's probably like a 6-inch something on a 1/4 ounce jig. Like, whoever, like, why would you fish that on a medium light?
Was any of the hooks sticking out?
Yeah, well, it was this light jig head with this giant ass hook, and maybe it's more neutrally buoyant, so fishing on a medium light isn't a big deal. Like, I don't know, but I asked the kid when I returned it to him, like, what he was thinking fishing that. He's like, everything fishes great on this, but
touche.
Fair enough. it's a $1,300 to $1,400 combo, like
Yep.
$650 plus dollars or plus tax, you know, like it's.
Did you ask him how he lost it though?
Yeah, absolutely. So I posted this on my story. A dude I know down here, he shares that what I found. Like he was telling the story at one of the bait shops, and the bait shop guy knew a guy who knew the guy who owned it. And this guy gave him my number and let me know. And he called me, and we set up a time for him to come pick it up. And yeah, he ended up being a college kid who was borrowing somebody's boat to fish this tournament down here. And the boat had a hot foot on it, which if you don't know what that is, it's like a foot pedal for the gas instead of a throttle. And it got stuck in big waves. So he's going wide open in a bass boat through like 5 footers apparently. And that rod bounced out off the front deck, which I'm assuming he kind of blew it out of proportion and he just didn't strap it down would be my guess.
I was going to say bass boat problems.
But I would vomit if I lost the $1,300 combo.
That would ruin a tournament for sure.
And I mean, you'd have to, most of the tournaments I fish, you could win it and not get your monies back after you lost a combo like that. Yeah. Although Mike and I and Dylan, we're planning on fishing megabucks next summer. So
hell yeah. That'll buy you a few combos.
Yeah, we'll probably be donating, but we're gonna fish like we're not. So
hell yeah.
It'd be cool to, come out with 100 G's. By the time you split it 3 ways, take out taxes and account for all the gas we're gonna burn in lodging, it'll be like $27.
$42.
Yeah. Well, and all the beer that'll get drank. So
well, as long as you stick to that old camo can, I think you'll be all right.
Oh yeah. Hopefully they sell them down in Mississippi. I'm gonna find out.
The Spencer Bauer special.
So are you doing a trip to kind of pre-fish for it, or are you just going in?
I think we're just gonna go in, but we're gonna get there like a week early.
Okay.
When is it?
End of July, I think.
Where is it?
Vicksburg. I think that's Mississippi.
So is that a bumping situation?
There'll be mini bumping rods in the boat. So I don't ever rule out anything because sometimes anchor fishing is the way to get your best 3 bites, but there's a real good chance we're going to be bumping.
So you're looking at 370 plus pound fish to win it.
Maybe. It's a 2-day tournament. So you got
it a 3-fish tournament?
Yeah. Yeah. But I want to say 90 pounds got you to day 2, and then they reset all the weights. And then
so the top half, or how many transfer to day 2?
I think it's 25. So 100 boat field, 25 make it to day 2. And I don't remember I remember who won it, but I don't remember what the weights were. It wasn't crazy. It might have been like 115 or 120 something. But it was Daryl and Jason Massingale won that one, which nobody.
So they had a 70-pound fish and a couple 30s. 25.
Maybe. I don't think. Maybe a 50 and a couple 30s, or a 50, 40 and a 30 or something like that. It wasn't. It was a darn good day, but not like the day you would expect you'd have to have. But that's tournament fishing,
Yeah.
I mean, that tournament Mike and I did, I think we got 6th or 7th or 5th or something like that. And we were disappointed. We were like, well, we'll be middle pack. And then we ended up cashing a check. It's just funny how it works out. Brian, we talked about tournaments. You don't fish them, do you?
No. The money's a lot better in guiding.
But you did.
I just fished small bass club tournaments like back before I guided full time because it was something I could do with my best friend and like the small group of guys. Well, when I first started fishing, it were pretty relatively cool and it was fun until it wasn't. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know. It was fun when it was fun until it wasn't fun. And I would just much rather be on the water with clients in my boat catching whatever I want to catch. and making money no matter what happened versus donating money. And it's just like, it wasn't, I mean, it's like we won, let's see, well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 plaques on the wall from wins. And like, we just broke even on the lodging and the gas, and it was what it was. But
yeah.
No, the walleye tournaments here in Kansas, the Kansas Walleye Association is based out of like the western or like central western part of the state, and most of the guys that fish it are from that region, and because of that they never fish lakes east of that. So like I think Milford would be the closest one that they fish, which is a very tough lake to fish tournaments at because it's a 21-inch limit. And I mean, I don't know what happened to that lake, and I don't even want to talk about it because there's so much controversy of like, oh, the blue cats on Milford ruin the walleyes, or the wipers ruin the walleyes. I'm like, maybe you all fucking suck at catching walleyes, and that's all there is to it. I don't know. Sorry, I said the F word. I'm sorry.
I'll forgive you.
Yeah, no, it would just be really tough because like for me and for any tournament angler, like to win a tournament, unless you fish the lake every day, for me would require at least like a week's worth of pre-fishing, especially time of year, like playing the weather and stuff. And I just don't have that time to like be away from home. Yeah. And like my 2 fishing vacations a year, I go to Green Bay.
I mean, you gotta love the tournament fishing thing. Like totally. I enjoy it. Sure. I'm gonna keep fishing some. I kind of sliding back to where I was a little bit more. It was fun to dabble, like, but if I'm gonna do them, I kind of like the idea of doing the big ones as long as I can afford them.
Swing for it.
Like the Megabucks one, it sounds outrageous, but you split the entry fee 3 ways, and it's not.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. It's a good chunk of money, but
yeah. No, I respect it and I get it, but like for me, like from a personal standpoint, I can't be away that long because like if I'm gonna do those tournaments, even just locally, like I mean, no one's getting rich on local Kansas walleye tournaments, but like
no, that's what I do. Like I said, you gotta love it, and then you gotta prioritize your time around it because you love it.
Right. But at the same token, being a guide is worse because I know for a fact a lot of that tournament field, which is like 30 to 50 boats, just don't like me because I'm a walleye guide in Kansas, and there hasn't really been.
You sure that's why they don't like you?
I mean, there's probably a lot of reasons.
Top 5.
There's probably a lot of reasons, but it was the same thing when I fished bass tournaments. Like 2 of the 4 plaques that I have on the wall are from smallmouth lakes, and I excel at smallmouth fishing. And when I was doing those tournaments, I had just started guiding, and everyone was like, oh, he's the guide, he's got to win these. So there's like always a target on your back because you're a fishing guy. But I feel like it's actually the opposite, that the guides actually do worse in those tournaments because there's so much like overthinking and it's this time of year when like anybody else would jump in on those tournaments and just like fish what's in front of them based on the conditions and not fishing memories, and they do much better. And I feel like that reigns true for all tournament anglers, you know, in some aspects of just like, oh, we're just going to jump in, and then boom, they're the ones that take it, you know, because they have.
There's a reason why the same guys are in the top of most of the tournaments.
Sure.
I mean, it's a lot of times it's not the local guys, like you said, fishing memories. Yep. It's a guy that's come in and maybe fished it for 3 days and does very well.
Yep.
They're fishing the tried and true patterns. They're not fishing, you know, what used to work here.
And it can go both ways, certainly, you know, just like somebody who's put the time in for years and years and finally gets the dub on a, you know, their home body of water and they're the hometown hero. But then the flip side of it is like, oh, somebody that's never seen the body of water until 2 weeks prior in pre-practice or whatever, that just comes in and figures out a pattern that no one else has.
It's them damn, Spencer, it's them dadgum minnow shakers on LiveScope. That way, the minnow shakers. That dadgum techno crap.
one guy that really sticks out, or not guy, but team of catfishermen that really stick out is Mike Mitchell and his son Jackson, and then what is the guy they fish with a bunch? I can't remember his name, but Mike and Jackson are guides down in Alabama that do extremely well on the bodies of water that they guide on, but then they also travel around the country and still whoop everyone's ass. It's pretty impressive. And we're supposed to have Jackson on here next week, which I'm really looking forward to that one because
Nice.
he's like 20 some years old and freaking catfish hammer. So I'm going to be picking his brain a whole bunch, but
He's just gonna sit there and not say a word the whole
Yeah.
time.
if he's smart, you know.
Anchor up next to a wing dam and throw out 6 rods with skipjack. Good luck.
I mean, that'll catch you some catfish.
Yeah.
You're talking to the wrong guy. I'm just going off of what I've seen on your videos.
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe a little nuance to it, but you could do that 12 months out of the year and you'll catch some fish.
That's true.
Yeah.
I still want to go bumping though. I need a good. I'm into that. I want the bumping. Hey, speaking of bumping, I saw your Instagram story. Did you really put 2 50 amp hour lithiums for your trolling motor in the boat? Why not 100?
They're 36 volt 50 amps.
Oh,
Oh.
that was my next question. That makes sense.
So that's one thing I'm really excited
I
about.
was like, what?
So I'm Skip.
Oh my god. Oh, he's
Skip is
mad.
going down.
But I'm partnered up with Epoch batteries, and they are coming out with a 100 amp 36 volt battery.
Okay.
And I'm pretty stoked to get that in the boat.
Yeah, big time.
Just because, it just simplifies things so much more to have fewer batteries. I mean,
I liked your wiring job though. That's about as good as mine will look too.
I don't know how else you can do it. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke because, like, okay, this is the best install I can do because this is the only way you can do it, and it's going to look that way no matter who does it.
Hey, for everyone listening, red to red, black to black. That's about as easy. That's the electrician's way right there. You can't mess it up. I almost said
Well,
it. Sorry, Spencer.
Ryan is the electrician, so he knows.
Really?
I'm
Yeah.
not really a DC guy. I'm more of an AC guy, but
Will you come wire my shop for me for a cheap price?
Well, I can come wire your shop.
Come on down. We'll get you one walleye, one sauger, and/or one saug eye.
And a shot of bourbon.
Yes.
Hell
We're gonna
yes.
switch to Heaven Hill grain to glass for everybody listening. That's a good pour.
Hell yeah. Well, boys, let's make our last cast here after your last.
Brought back the last cast.
Yep. You just talk about whatever you want to end on. Speak any words of wisdom.
I will start out. It's nice being back on the podcast. I want to get on here as much as possible. It's been a while since I've done any YouTube stuff, any podcast stuff. And now that the animal control business is slowing down a little bit and, we don't have ice yet, I'm having a little more free time. So I'm definitely going to start getting back and doing a few videos here and there. Hopefully some ice fishing videos this winter. And then May, I am done being an electrician. I'm going to go full time with the animal control and the guide service. And we're going to dive in head first and just work all the time. It's going to be a good time.
You told me when I dove in, like, you wake up broke every day and go earn
Absolutely
your money.
right.
That is stuck with me.
I want my hard work to pay for me. I'm tired of building everybody else.
Preach.
So my hard work's gonna reward myself for once.
You're thinking so much further ahead than me. You're thinking about domination. I'm thinking about survival.
I dive. When I dive, I go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down in flames, or I'm gonna come up. I don't know what the other side of that would be, but we're just not gonna go down in flames.
Yeah, no flames.
No,
Just maybe
dominate.
campfires, but that only flames are campfires.
Which is a nice reward.
With some Asian carp on the grill, baby. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. There's got to be a way to get the bones out and without blending it up.
Hey, if there's going to be a guy that's going to figure it out, it's going to be you.
You've probably met a few ladies.
I'm just thinking like making trapping bait and stuff and blending all that up. Probably very similar.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming you have a dedicated blender.
I do now.
Yeah, that's where all his protein shakes come from too.
That's right.
Extra protein. Brian, what do you got? What do you got for your last cast, Brian?
What do I got for my last cast? Well, I'm not familiar with what the last cast entails on this podcast.
Anything. The last things you want to talk about.
I don't know. I'm just happy to be here.
Here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch of the fishing industry. No, to piggyback what Ryan said, I don't know, man. Been doing this a long time. I'm happy to say I've been guiding for a freaking decade in Kansas, and like I said before, it's like, we're gonna try and wean down and just focus on regular clients and just like primetime bites and people that I really enjoy being in the boat with. But here we are, 2025, and all the prime times are pretty much booked solid. So
I don't blame you.
My boat dealership, Mid Kansas Marine, is opening a third location about a half hour south of where I live, and they want me to manage it. And so I'm still trying to navigate my way through how the hell I'm going to make that work with my schedule, which I don't think is going to work for maybe the first year. But I will be happy to not have to fight the weekend warriors and not guide weekends anymore next year and just do Monday through Friday and enjoy the weekend to do whatever I want with the family.
Yeah, like a normal person.
Like a normal person. Yeah.
That's overrated.
Yeah.
Hey, the older I get, the softer I get. And that's kind of where I'm at now, especially after grinding every day. And it's been a tough year for me, losing my dad this past February and a good buddy up in Wisconsin. And then my great uncle like 3 weeks after that. And so we're hoping for some good juju. So my last cast is put into the universe the energy that you would like to receive back. And that comes mostly from my witchy wife. And so I'm letting that ride. I would like some good energy for 2025 and big fish as always. Hope I catch a giant.
I hope you do too. My last one is first off, nice having you guys on. I really enjoy it. And piggybacking off of that, we need to go fishing. Like all three of us, like talking about cutting back on your guidance schedule a little bit. Think about like a time frame, say May-ish or July, August, September, where we could go do some bumping or try to catch a big old flathead down in your neck of the woods. I think that'd be a good time.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Well, you said how July and August are a grind, and July.
August, no. I'm serious. I mean,
for walleye, not for flathead.
That's what I'm saying. Like for the
July or August walleye.
Yeah,
but that we'll go crappie fishing, and then we'll catch some flathead.
I'd rather die than crappie fishing.
We need bait, Brian. Get your head right. We need bait.
They got to be 10 inches, Spencer. We can do everything we can for 10 inches.
Well, let's go wiper fishing.
10 inches are perfect. And yes, white bass, wipers, excellent catfish bait in July and August.
Spencer, I can take you to a lake where we can catch 300 white bass in 3 hours.
Well, that's good.
No size limit, no creel limit, and
we only need 20.
And that particular lake has some of the biggest Chan Mans, big Chan Mans, and big blues.
Well, I'm a fan of
power plant lake.
But yeah, think about it. I think it's going to be, that would be a whole bunch of fun.
I want to get stumped. I want to bump, and I want to just be doing this and being like, wow, I wish I was somewhere else. And then just boom, 70-pound blue.
Well, try to figure out a way to camp, do an overnight. We'll bump all day and then camp, sit around a campfire, drink beers, talk trash, and then maybe bump back to the boat ramp and drop you off the next day.
As long as we don't have Asian carp cakes, I'm good.
I make no promises.
I'll bring brats. I'll bring Usingers brats from Wisconsin and good bourbon and bush lattes.
You bring those things and some white bass, and there'll be no silver carp.
You've never had an issue with me getting you white bass.
Right. So if you want to guarantee no silver carp end up in the boat, bring white bass.
Beauty.
Yeah. And it's a done deal. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. Thank you to everybody who took the time to listen, and the crazy people who listened the whole time. Like Tom's been on here forever. Like Tom was the man. Tom's the man anyway, but I just appreciate you a little bit more. And TA and he's been on here for a while, and I don't know. I'm sure I'm missing people, but I'm just looking at the comments. So thanks everybody who took time to watch. Thank you guys for hopping on, and cringy Ender.
Hope you catch a giant.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.